Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video I'll be showing you how you can create this flyer from start to finish using CorelDraw software. If you're new here and you're not subscribed to my channel, please kindly hit the subscribe button and make sure to turn on the post notification so you don't miss any videos I'll be dropping after this time out. And if you've subscribed to my channel, please like, share, and share to your friends, share to everybody. If you have a friend who is interested in graphics, please share my videos to them. And also don't forget to drop your positive comments in the comment section so YouTube can actually show these videos to more persons that are interested. So without further ado, let's get started. So I'll head on to my CorelDraw software, and as you can see I have mine open up, so you can open yours too. And before I forget, attached to this video is in the description is the resource file I used for this video, so you can do well to download them and tag along, so we'll do this together. So the next thing I will do now is I'll click on file and I'll click on new. I'll click on file, I'll click on new, and I can just give it a name here, Claw Flyer, like we've always done in the past. And I'll leave all these settings here, RGB, and I will set it to 5x5. Then resolution stays at 300 please. And having done this, I'll just click OK. Good. So let's CorelDraw do its magic. So as you can see now, I have my page all set up like this. So first thing I would always do is I'll go over to my rectangle tool here and double click on it. So we have another shape inside. This is where we'll be working on. So I will remove the outline. I'll just give it a color, a random color. I'll just give it this color, and I will remove the outline just so we see what's going on inside of the shape. So for this tutorial, first thing I would like to do is I'll go over to my text. I want to type what I want to use first. And the first thing I'll start with is Thursday. So I'll just type out Thursday, and immediately I'll change the font here. And guys, it's okay when you are designing in CorelDraw, you can type or edit your text here, and before you bring inside, it's perfect. This is your working space. Just make sure at the end of the day everything you designed is inside of this, it's not outside. So what I'll do is I'll just type my Thursday and go over to my font and change it to the font that I used here, which is Morganite. Yeah, this is what I used. I'll just make it bold. So I'll make it bigger, somewhat like this, and I'll bring it inside like this. So I'll just make a few copies of this. I'll make 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of this. So Ctrl C and Ctrl V to copy and paste. Just drag this down. So I'll do the same again, Ctrl C and Ctrl V to paste it, and I'll do it for the last time, Ctrl C and Ctrl V. So in all I have like 4 Thursdays here already. So what I'll just do, I'll just give it a random color. Let me just stick to this color first. Yes, so having done this, what I'll do next is I would convert this to curve. So I'll right click on all of them and convert to curves. You see guys, Ctrl Q, that's the shortcut. So after converting it to curve, I'll come up here where I have weld, and I'll weld everything together. Okay, having done this, what I did with this is now this whole text they are all together. They're not separate as it was before. So I can make adjustments. I can change the color like this, and the changes will be applied to all of them at the same time. So having done this out of the way, I'll just put this aside, and I would go over to where I have. So I'll go over to where I have my resource file, and I'll be bringing in the first resource file I'll be using for this video. So I'll just double click and I'll select which is the model. So I'll just drag her and drop inside like this. Or if you want to make things complicated and not so easy for yourself, you can come here and click on File, then click on Import to bring in your images. But I'll just do the simple way. I'll just drag and drop. So having done this, what I'll just do is I would hold down the Shift and reduce from the edges like this. Guys, make sure when you're reducing, you don't reduce from the top like this. That's bad. Or you don't reduce from the sides like this. So I'll just do my reduction like this. I'll reduce from the edges. So you can reduce from this part, from this part, from this part, from this part, whichever ways you want. So like I have done. So the next thing I will want to do is I will want to fade out the edges, these edges and this edge here. So what I'll do is I'll go over to my transparency tool, I'll select it, and like we've always done before, I'll hold down the Shift key. Make sure you're selecting the image. As you can see, I'm selecting the image. Make sure you're selecting it. So I would go to transparency and hold down the Shift key and just drag out like this. Make sure you have the black at the edges and the white is towards this region. So having done this, I want to apply the same effect to this part of the image. So what I would do, because if I want to go ahead to applying it, it won't work because I've not converted it to bitmap. So what I'll do is I'll go over to bitmap, convert to bitmap, and click OK, just so we can make continuous adjustment to this image. So we've done for this side, I'll do for this side too. So what I'll do is I'll go back there and select and drag, so it goes from white to black. So as you can see, guys, I've successfully faded this part. So I'll just leave it like this, and reduce this size a bit like this. So having done this out of the way, I'll put this aside here like this. Yeah, like this. And I would want to work on this. So like as I've always mentioned before, when you are designing, it's good you select your colors from the subjects or the elements of your design. So in this case now, I'll want to make my text the color of address here. So what I'll select my eyedropper tool, selecting it like this. I will make sure I come over to address. Somewhere around here is fine and perfect. I'm just looking for the right place. Okay, I think I can use this instead. So selecting that color, I'll just come over to my text and then I'll apply it. Make sure you're applying it on the text itself. You can zoom close to see what you're doing correctly. Make sure you're applying the effects on the text itself. So having done this, I would bring this inside like this, and I want to change the background color of this my drawing page. So what I'll do is I'll also be selecting the color from address. So I'll come over to address here, and not necessarily address, I can select the color from the background. So I will locate the darkest region in this background. So I can select from here, select this color and apply it here like this. As you would observe, it's not black. It's not black. So I'll just select this color and apply here like this. So what I want to do next is, let me change this color. So I'll select another color from address. I'll probably select this. Okay, probably select this and apply the color here. Or I'll select this and apply this color here. So the next thing I want to do is I'll move this to the middle like this, and I want to apply, I would want to apply an effect to it. So what I'll just do is I'll come over to where I have my transparency tool and click on this one, this fountain fill here. I'll select it, and the one I'll be using for this is the next one here, elliptical fountain transparency. So I'll just apply it. So when you apply it, this is what you will get. But if you don't get this, make sure you have your whites set to white. It's going from white to black, as you can see mine. So you just make sure it's going from white to black. So having done this, I would make this bigger like this, not too big, somewhere like this, and I can reduce the effect furthermore by dragging this slider inside like this. Okay guys, so that's how you get that done. Good. So the next thing I would want to do is I would take this out of the way and put this inside of this container. So what I will do is I will power clip it inside. So how do you do that? Very easy. I'll just right click on the text, the whole text like this, and select power clip inside. So once you choose that option, you see this arrow. So you just select. So you just select the drawing page itself. Click on it, and voila! There you go. I've put it inside of the drawing page like this. So I power clipped it inside. So the next thing I want to do is I want to adjust it well so it sits properly. So what I'll just do is I'll just double click on the container and I'll just move it to the side like this. Alright guys, I'll move it to the side like this. So the next thing I want to do is I want to do the same thing too for this image too. I want to put it inside. So what I'll do is, because I have something inside already, so I don't need to right click to power clip it inside of this container. What I will just do is I'll just cut and paste inside. So I'll just Ctrl X to cut, and I'll double click on the drawing page to gain access to the power clipped, and I'll just paste it, Ctrl V to paste inside. So what I can just simply do is I'll just move it correctly to the right place, and when I'm done, I'll just click finish. As you can see guys, so I'll just make a slight adjustment to this text I have here. So it's because it seems too big, so I'll double click on the box, I'll move the image aside and make this a little bit smaller, just like this. So I can also make changes to this effect applied to it. So I'll just move the slider inside so I don't have too much of the text on the subject's body. So that's what I'll do. So having done this, I'll click finish to check what I've done. As you can see how the text is now, I think this is nice like this. So I'll leave it like this. I'll double click again and make sure I put her in the middle, because I want this text to be on this side. So I'll having placed her in the middle, I'll come to the text, Ctrl C and Ctrl V. So I'll drag this to this part like this. Alright guys, so it's on two sides. I'll select this, that's the image. You can drag out to be sure what you're selecting. And I'll right click and I'll click on order, and I'll select to front of layer. Now why I did this is just so the image is above the text I have inside of this my flyer. Alright guys, so having done this, I'll click finish, or the shortcut to that is you can click on shift page up. So when you click on shift page up, it comes up to the page, so it's directly in front of this your text. So it's directly in front of this text we have. So the next thing I'll do is I'll click on finish. Okay, and we're done with that. Okay guys, and looking at this my text, yeah, it seems to, it's not properly faded to the background. It's not giving me the effect I want. So I still have more of the effect going on. So I want it faded properly into the background. So what I want to do is I'll go over inside of where I have my text. As you can see, selected. I'll select this one. I'll select this one. Holding down the shift key, I'll select this. Make sure you're selecting the text, not the subject. Select this, hold down your shift key, and select this also. So if I drag out now, I'm selecting both of them, right? Good. So what I'll do is I'll go to bitmap, I'll convert to bitmap, and I'll press OK. Good. So what I've done is I've converted both of them to an image, and they are now together. So what I'll do is I'll come over here to my transparency, I'll click on it, and I will select this first one, uniform transparency. So I want to apply a uniform transparency to two of them. So I'll just click on it, and I can bump this up to, from 50, I will make it 64, or let's say 70. So I can highlight this and manually type 70 and press enter. So I haven't done this, I'll click finish. Okay, I think it's too much, so I'll bring it up a bit, and I'll go over to my transparency and I'll increase it. Let me give it 30. Good. So I'll just click on finish. Let me make it 40. Great. I think this is okay like this. So at 40, I'm okay with this, right? So the next thing I'll be doing is, because we need to, we'll be adding our text here later on. So, and apparently address is getting in the way. We cannot just add the text above the image like this. It won't be professional enough. So what we want to do is I'll simply double click on the power clip content so I can edit them. So selecting her, as you can see, I'm selecting her already. So what I want to do is I'll go to bitmap, I'll convert to bitmap, and make sure when you are converting, guys, is always set to 300 and the color mode is set to RGB. So I'll click OK. Now I can make further adjustments to this object. So what I'll do is I'll come over to my transparency tool, click on it, and I'll zoom closer to see what I'm doing clearly. As you can see, she's currently selected. I'll hold down my shift key and I'll just drag from white to black. So along this region, this is where I want this effect to be. So this is what I would do. As you can see, guys, so now when I click out, I will have a blank black space underneath this area. So let's see. I'll click on finish, and as you can see, guys, because I've faded her from the bottom like this, this is what I'll be having. Alright, guys, so if you've done this and you've gotten to this point, we're almost at the end of this tutorial. So the next thing I will want to do is, let me shift or let me make this image a little bit smaller and shift her to the top like this. Good. Click finish, and that's all. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to type out my Thursday. So what I'll do is I'll go over to my text tool and I will type Thursday. I'm going to be using lowercase, so it's Thursday, but not completely. So I'll just type out Thursday, and the font I use for this is Hami Holland Demo. Okay, this is the font I used. So I can drag it inside, and first and foremost, I'll make the color white, right, guys? So I'll make it white. So by default, this text is not, it doesn't have weight. When I mean doesn't have weight, it's just is light. You understand? So what I want to do to make it have weight, because as you can see over here, there's no option for me to make it bold. So what I can just do is I would go over to my outline, go over to my color, and give it an outline white. So I would right click on it, right click on this white. As you can see, guys, it's now weight here. As you can see, guys, it now has weight compared to how it was before. So good. The difference is not much, but then it's there, and it's so having done this, what I'll do is I would select the Thursday, I'll go over to objects, and I'll click on convert outline to object. So I'll click on it, and what it does is it converts that outline to object, just like this. As you can see, guys, the outline is separate and the text itself is separate. So I would go over to my pick tool, highlight both of them, and click on, once again, weld. So I'll weld this. So having done this, the next thing I want to do is I want to apply I want to apply that light effect. So what I'll do is I'll make a duplicate copy of this first. Ctrl C, Ctrl V. As you can see now, I have 2 copies of this. Now for this first one, I'll make it a yellow color. You can see, right? On this, what I'll do next is I'll go over to Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and I will make sure my radius is set to 19. As you can see, guys, my radius is set to 19. So having done, make sure you turn on preview so you see what you're doing in real time. So having done this, I'll click OK. As you can see, guys, our lighting effect is beginning to take form, but we won't stop at this because we want it to be very, very obvious and bold. So as you can see, guys, this is what the blur did to it. So now the next thing I want to do is I want to make this lighting more conspicuous. So what I'll do is Ctrl C and Ctrl V. As you can see, guys, by duplicating the blurred copy of the text, it's making it more brighter. Okay, so as you can see now, so having done this, we are good with this. So the next thing we'll be doing is we'll be applying all our various text to it. So what I can just do is I'll select all of this and take this up like this, and just so I have more space to add things in this section. So what I want to do next is I want to create a rectangle where I'll have my other text. So I would go over to my rectangle tool, I'll draw out like this, and make sure it's not too big, just like this, somewhere like this is okay. And I want to make sure this my rectangle have rounded corners. So what I can just do is very, very easy. I'll go over to my shape tool like this, and I'll just drag. When it turns plus, I'll just drag like this, and voila, now our rectangle has rounded corners. So I'll just give it a random color. I can use this. Great, right? So what I want to do is before I proceed, I want to give this shape an outline. So I'll go over here. I want the outline to be this yellow color. So I'll just right click on yellow. So as you can see, guys, I have an outline. But what I want to do is I want to also make this outline glow. So what I will do is I'll go to Objects and convert outline to object. Convert outline to object. So I'll click on it, and immediately I click on the outline and I drag it out like this. You can see now it's now an object, right? Good. So what I can simply do is I'll make a duplicate copy of it, Ctrl C and Ctrl V. You can see it's another copy of it. So what I'll just do here is the same process. Go to Effects, go to Blur and Gaussian Blur, and I'll just increase it this time, and you can do it manually while you are seeing the effect on it. So I'll just go over okay, so I guess I'll just shift towards the edges like this and make it somewhat like that. Let me drag this out so you see what I did. You see, guys, but it's not obvious. So now to make it more obvious, I can now Ctrl C and Ctrl V to paste it. So pasting it in place here, you're seeing the effect, right? Good. So I'll just click on it and paste it furthermore. Ctrl C and Ctrl V. As you can see, guys, so it's now glowing, as you can see. So the next thing I would do is I would go over to my text tool and type vibes. So I'll just type vibes, and before I proceed, I'll change the text to stretch. That's the font I use, Stretch Pro. And now this is the good thing about this text. So as it is now, we want this X to have an effect, right? So if I click on it and add another S to it, this is what you get, right? This is what you get. But if you leave it at just one S like this, this is what you have. So if it's this B you want to apply the effect to, make sure you have two B's here, as you can see, guys. So if it's the E you want to apply the effect to, so make sure you have two E's here. But for me, it's because I want the S, so I would apply it to the S. So I would bring it inside, go over to my shape tool and reduce the spaces. I'm not a fan of too many spaces in between. So I'll bring this closely inside like this, and I'll change the color to white, right? Change the color to white, and I can make it bigger a little bit, but don't make it too big, right? So I'll select this now, which is the rectangle we did with rounded corners, and I want to apply a gradient fill to it. So what I can just do is I come here, interactive fill, select interactive fill tool, select it, and immediately you select it, you see something like a bucket, right? Now you can actually drag. Make sure you are holding your shift to drag on a straight line. If you don't hold down your shift, this is what you get, and you start adjusting manually. But because I want a straight line, I'm currently holding, because I want a straight line, I'm currently selecting the shift key, as you can see, guys. Good. So having done this, I'll go over to this color here, select it, and you see the node color, right? So what you can just do is drag it down like this and select this first one, show color viewer. So on this palette, I'll just bring it down like this. As you're applying the color, it's changing in real time. So what I want to do is, this is the color I want to make use of. Just make sure you are within the orange spectrum and you reduce it to this point like this. Great. So next thing I'll do for this too, I'll make this an orange color. So I can come here. It's either I come here and click the orange, just like this, as simple like that, or I come over and do the same thing I did here too. I'll click on this node color, and I'll just go over to where I have my orange here. As you can see, guys, if I move along this region, I'm changing the color. Come over to where I have my orange and just select the orange. Or to make things easier for all of us, and just so we don't spend the whole day on this design, just come here and click on orange. But make sure you are selecting the part. If it's this part you want to apply the orange to, click on it. Make sure you are clicking on it and apply the color of your choice. And apply the blue, anyone, whichever ways you want to. So I'll leave mine like this because this is what I want to use. Okay, guys, so having done this, let's move on. So what I would do next is I would apply the rest of my text to this design. So I'm just going to impute the address. So 511, it's Edgewood. So I'm using the same font to write out the address. Emporia. Yes. and 66801. Okay, so I'll come here up here and click on this and click on center. So I have my text centralized. Let me zoom closer to see what I'm doing well. And I'll make this smaller. I'll select my shape tool and I'll close in the gap between the two lines by dragging this up like this, and I'll make sure I centralize it here like this, just so it's in the middle. Okay, so with the same font, I'll go over to use it to write my time. So Ctrl C and Ctrl V and Ctrl A. I'll just type 10 p.m. Great guys, 10 p.m. that's the time. Okay, so I can just move this up here like this and make it a little bit bigger like this, and that's it. Okay guys, we're almost at the end of this tutorial. So the next thing I want to do is I would want to apply the lighting effect, like just a little bit of effect here, not too much, just something here. So I'll go over to where I have my resource file and bring in the last resource file for this exercise, which is this lighting effect. Great, so I'll just drag and drop like this. Okay, so I'll drag and drop and I'll make it smaller. Again, hold down the shift key and reduce from the edges like this. Great, so reduce from the edges like this. So I would F4 or function F4 on your keyboard to fit the page, to fit, or you can come up here. So I'll just press function F4 to fit the page, or you can come up here and change the values here. As you can see, you can change the zoom values. This is 10%, this is 75%, and if you want to zoom it to fit, you can just click to fit. So it will take you to the fitted page, or by default you just press function and F4 on your keyboard. So with this effect now, we're very cautious with this effect. I don't want it to be too much and all of that, so I'll make it moderate. So what I'll do first, I would make sure I change the blend mode to screen first. Click on transparency, and from normal here, I'll just change it to screen. As you can see, I've changed the blend mode to screen. So what I can just do now is I would make sure I blend. Let me bring this out of the way so you see what I'm saying correctly. I'll blend this aspect well. So I'll go to my transparency tool, select it, and of course from white to black. So I'm telling CorelDraw I don't want to see all this region. That's why I'm going from visible to non-visible. So, and I'll also do the same thing for this part too. So before I do that, I'll go to bitmap, convert to bitmap, so I can make further adjustments to this image. So next thing I'll do is I'll do for this side too. So I'll select my transparency tool, hold down the shift key, and from white to black. But before you do that, as you can see, there's a slight problem. Make sure you are bitmapping twice. So I'll go to convert to bitmap and convert to bitmap again. Great, so I have this. So what I'll just do is I'll go over to my transparency tool and hold down the shift key and drag like this. Great, right? So so next thing I'll do again, I'll apply the same effects to this part. So I'll go back to bitmap, convert to bitmap, and click OK. Bitmap again, convert to bitmap again, and I'll press OK. Great, right? So what I'll do is I'll go to transparency to hold down the shift key and click down like this. Okay, so as it is now, if I bring this in, you can see that the effect is not too much again. It's just within this region. So what I would like to do is I'll go over to transparency, select it and click on screen. Good. So you tend to use screen for anything that has to do with lighting and anything that you want to be bright. If you have any light effect or anything and you want to use a background to blend well, so you set your blending mode to screen, or if you are using applications like Photoshop, you can set it to screen or color dodge add. Those are all lighting effects. So what I would do is I'll take this image and I'll power clip it inside here. So Ctrl X to cut it and double click on the drawing page to paste it like this. So having done this, I'll just increase the size like this a little bit, and I'll make sure I bring it down. I don't want it in this region, so it disrupts the position of our image or our model. So I'll just put it here, and when I'm done, convinced with the position I have it, I'll just click finish. Alright guys, F4, I might want to adjust this a bit. So I'll double click on it and I'll put this in place here like this. Okay, so you can just adjust to your taste, but make sure everything you're doing, there's moderation in everything you're doing. But make sure there's moderation in everything you're doing. So I'll click finish and voila, you can see now I didn't blend this well, so I'll just go over there and increase the size like this to this region where I have like this, and when I'm done I'll just click finish. Great, right? So having done this, I'll just move this 10 p.m. a little bit to this side like this, and alright guys, this brings us to the end of this tutorial. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've enjoyed this video, please kindly give a thumbs up and make sure you drop your comments below. If you have any questions, please ask in the comment section. If you have any video you want to see, please drop in the comment section. I'll be sure to answer your questions and revert in due time. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.